Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are going to be talking about one concept in Islam that is tremendously beneficial. Yani it's beneficial to us, it's beneficial to people around us, and as we're going to go through some of the information, you will see that there is so much good that can come out of just this one concept. And if we as human beings, and if we as Muslims in particular, really espouse this concept, the rest of the world and our families and our kids and our parents and anyone around the world would really tremendously benefit. So let's kind of jump right in. There is a tennis player who passed in the 80s, and he was he was a legend. He was one of the first black tennis players to ever hit Wimbledon, and he was a 3 or 4 time Wimbledon champion. And it was very interesting that when he was diagnosed after a surgery, a cardiac surgery, with AIDS and HIV, somebody wrote a letter to him. And in that letter, they asked, why you? Why did it have to be you that were stricken with AIDS? And so he wrote a letter to that person, and I want to read that letter. This is entitled, Why Me? By Arthur Ashe. The question was, why did God have to select you for such a bad disease? To this, he replied, 50 million children started playing tennis. 5 million learned to play tennis. 500,000 learned professional tennis. 50,000 came to tennis circuit. Out of those 50,000, only 5,000 reached Grand Slam. 50 went to Wimbledon. 4 of them reached the semifinals. 2 of them in the finals. And when I was holding the cup in my hands, I never asked God, why me? So now, when I'm in pain, how can I ask God, why me? He continues, happiness keeps you sweet. Trials keep you strong. Sorrows keep you human. Failure keeps you humble. Success keeps you glowing, but only faith keeps you going. Sometimes, he continues, you are not satisfied with your life, while many people in this world are dreaming of living your life. I'm going to repeat that. Sometimes you are not satisfied with your life, while many people in this world are dreaming of living your life. A child on a farm sees a plane flying overhead and dreams of flying, while the pilot on the plane sees the farmhouse and dreams of returning home. That's life, he says. Enjoy yours. If wealth is the secret to happiness, then the rich would be dancing on the streets, but only poor kids do that. If power ensures security, then VIPs would walk unguarded, but those who live simply sleep soundly. If beauty and fame bring ideal relationships, he continues, then celebrities should have the best marriages. Live simply, be happy, walk humbly, and love genuinely. Why Me? By Arthur Ashe. So what he's teaching us is to think positively. One of those positive thoughts that he didn't mention, but he's conveying, is gratitude. No one who expresses gratitude genuinely goes unhappy. And he indicates that no matter how bad you think you have it, somebody else wants to be in your shoes. Somebody else is in fact praying to be in your shoes. And so somebody somewhere in the world wants your shoes. So while we have our shoes, he's saying, be grateful for your own shoes, because the benefits of counting those blessings for you are going to be tremendous. And then when you feel better about your own shoes, then the benefits to other people around you is sort of the benefit spills over to those people who are around you. So some of the tools that have been talked about for many, many, many decades, but now I think research is starting to come out a little bit more, is to keep a gratitude journal, or to, it doesn't necessarily have to be a journal, but some people keep a gratitude jar where they'll, and then little pieces of, little strips of paper and a pen, so that anything that they appreciate, they can just write down on the piece of paper, drop it into the jar, and then maybe once a month, once a week, once, every so often, they'll open up that jar and then read all of these positive things and appreciative things that they wrote with their own hands. But then it helps you focus on the positive. And it was, in fact, a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, or it is a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where he said, and this is related in Bukhari, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم انظروا إلى من أسفل منكم. He said, انظروا إلى من أسفل منكم ولا تنظروا إلى من هو فوقكم فهو أجدر ألا تزدروا نعمة الله عليكم. He said, look at those, unzuru, look at those people who are below you. إِلَى مَنْ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ. And he said, وَلَا تَنْظُرُوا. And do not look at those people who, مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَكُمْ. Don't look at those people who are above you, or that you consider to be better than you, or that you consider to have more than you. Meaning, what Arthur Ashe was saying, count your blessings. Be grateful for your own shoes. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, because looking at somebody below you and saying, Alhamdulillah, thank God for X, Y, and Z that Allah has given me, is more appropriate for us. It is more beneficial for us. It's more appropriate for us so that we don't belittle the blessings of Allah. Allah tazdaru ni'matallahi alaykum. The Prophet said, so that you don't belittle the blessings of Allah upon yourself. So there are actually 4 stories that I want to share. One of those stories is a writer, an imam. His name is Muhammad al-Arifi, and you can actually pick up his book, which is freely available. He was doing some fundraising, and he went to a Muslim brother who was very, very well off. Tabarakallah, may Allah increase that brother and allow him to sleep. And one of the things, and the reason I made that dua for that brother, is because this sheikh writes in his book that when he wrote the check and he gave it to the sheikh, very shortly after that, he takes out, what the sheikh writes, he takes out a pill bottle, and he's taking 1 or 2 or 3 of his pills. And as a physician, I wouldn't recommend doing 1 or 2 or 3 pills. I just recommend taking what the doctor has ordered. But he's taking pills in front of the sheikh, and the sheikh asks him, what's going on? And the brother says that, I've had trouble sleeping for the majority of my life. And so the sheikh makes dua for him and his family and so on and so forth, and they leave. And as they're driving down the highway, returning back home, they come upon a construction site in the middle of the night. And at that construction site, you know how you've got those lamps that are sort of brightening the entire construction zone, and then those lamps are generally connected to a generator. And that generator is not very quiet. It's very loud. And you know what they saw? Lying down somewhat near the generator on a pile of newspaper was, I guess, a night watchman or one of the construction workers or somebody. Nonetheless, whoever it was. But there was somebody laying down on a set of newspaper, on a pile of newspapers, sound asleep. And the sheikh says that he basically indicates that sometimes those who live simply sleep soundly. That's what Arthur Ashe said earlier.